Okay, so welcome to class 16 of basic electronics. So last day we were discussing about the bipolar junction transistor, and we discussed how does the bipolar junction transistor operate, and we also discussed that because the role of both majority and minority carriers are necessary for the action of this transistor, that is why this transistor is basically known as the bipolar junction transistor. And also, just as I stated, that the emitter current is basically dependent on the base to emitter voltage, and the collector current is basically a fixed fraction of the emitter current. So the collector current is basically dependent on the base to emitter voltage. Okay, so that is the transistor action, that the current at the collector terminal is basically manipulated by the voltage applied at the base to emitter terminal. Okay, so let us continue our discussion. So we generally stated, we stated that generally the collector current is basically a fixed fraction of the emitter current. So IC by IE for a given transistor is equal to a constant which is denoted by the term alpha, and this is mainly known as the common base current gain. Okay, we will actually discuss from where this name common base actually came into picture. Okay, now let us discuss a few other things before we proceed further. So we have discussed about NPN transistor the last day. So in P and N. So a NPN transistor basically has two PN junction. One is the base to emitter junction and another is the base to collector junction. And this is the emitter, this is the base, this is the collector, and this base to emitter junction, that is this junction, is actually forward biased, and the base to collector junction, that is this junction, is basically reverse biased. And we also discussed that the emitter is generally heavily doped, the base is lightly doped, and the collector is basically moderately doped. Okay, and we have also discussed the reasons of these things the last day, so I am not repeating it any. And let us discuss the symbol for a NPN transistor. So this is basically the symbol of an NPN transistor. Okay, this arrow here is generally put at the emitter. So this is basically our emitter terminal, and the arrow is put, or the direction of the arrow basically denotes the direction of current flow. And as we already know that the current flows from P to N and not in the reverse direction. So here the base is basically P type and the emitter is N type. So we can already see from this diagram here that the base is P type and the emitter is N type. So current would flow from the base to the emitter, and then current would actually flow out of the emitter. Okay, out of the emitter means out of the emitter into the battery terminal. So current is basically flowing out of the emitter, and so this arrow here is basically directed in the outward direction. So the current would flow out of the emitter. Okay, this terminal here is the base, so this third terminal should be the collector. Okay, now just like an NPN transistor, we can also have a PNP transistor. So this is also another kind of transistor. So we have P here, and then we have an N block here, and then again we have a P block here. Okay, so this P is again the emitter, this N type is the base, and the P type is the collector. And same to the previous case, the emitter here is again heavily doped, the base is lightly doped, and the collector is moderately doped. And again, the base to emitter junction is basically forward biased, and the base to collector junction is basically reverse biased. Okay, and this is the symbol for an PNP transistor. So again, the arrow would be put at the emitter, but here the emitter is actually P type, and we know that current basically flows from P to N side and not in the reverse direction. So here, because the emitter to base junction is forward biased, the current would flow from P to N, so in this direction. So current would actually flow into the emitter. Okay, and since current is flowing into the emitter, the arrow is actually directed inwards. So the arrow is directed inwards opposite to the direction of arrow for a NPN transistor. So this is the emitter terminal here, this is the collector terminal here, and this is the base terminal here. Okay, so these are basically the symbols of the NPN and PNP transistor. We will do actually some problems later to understand this, or to understand the operation and how to solve problems. So right now let us actually see a configuration of a transistor which is basically known as the common base configuration. Okay, so in the common base configuration, so this is the emitter here. We are discussing the common base configuration for a NPN transistor. For a PNP transistor also things are basically the same. Okay, so this is a this is the emitter, then this is the base, and this is the collector here, and then this base is basically grounded, and this base is basically common to both emitter and collector. So the base is actually connected to the emitter by a voltage and a resistor, and the base is also connected to the collector by a voltage source and a resistor. Okay, so this base is basically connected to the emitter via a voltage source which we call VBE, and a resistor here, let us call this resistor Ri, and the base is also connected to the collector by again another voltage source VCB, and another resistor here which we can call R0. Okay, so since the base is connected to both the emitter and the collector with the help of a voltage source and a resistor, the base is basically common to both the emitter and the collector, and that is why this configuration is basically known as the common base configuration. And in this configuration, the base to emitter is basically the input side, and the emitter current is basically the input current. So the emitter current is flowing in this direction. This emitter current is basically the input current. Okay, and VBE is basically the input voltage source. Here we are actually showing this voltage source with the help of a DC source, but it may be an AC source as well, or it may be a superposition of a DC source and an AC source. But VBE is basically the voltage at the input terminal actually. Okay, and the emitter current is basically the input current, and then this collector current, which is actually flowing in this direction, is basically the output current here. And because the emitter current is the input current and the collector current is basically the output current, this ratio IC by IE is basically the ratio of the output to the input current for the common base configuration, and that is why this quantity alpha is known as the common base current gain. So I mentioned this term common base current gain earlier. So now I hope it is clear that why this quantity IC by IE is known as the common base current gain. Okay. Next, let us see the characteristics of this common base configuration of the transistor. So just as I said that we know that the emitter current, the base emitter junction is basically a diode and the base to emitter junction is forward biased. So this emitter current is basically dependent on the base to emitter voltage by this quantity Is, or by this expression Is exponential VBE divided by Vt, provided that VBE is actually much greater than Vt. If this condition is not satisfied, then you have to put a minus 1 over here. Okay. And because the base current is actually a fixed fraction of the emitter current when the transistor is operating properly, the base current is basically also given by the expression Is divided by beta, Is divided by beta plus 1 exponential VBE divided by Vt, where beta is actually a number greater than 1. We will actually discuss the significance of this quantity beta later but just right now, just know that because the base current is actually a fixed fraction of the emitter current, we can actually divide the emitter current by this factor beta plus 1 to get the base current, and then the collector current is basically IE minus IB. So this is basically beta divided by beta plus 1 Is exponential VBE divided by Vt, and all these three expressions are valid provided that this condition is actually satisfied. Okay, so now let us see the characteristics of the common base configuration. So when we say that the characteristics of the common base configuration, we mainly plot the collector current, okay, and the collector current versus this voltage source VCB, okay, because VCB is basically the voltage source that produces the output current, which is basically the collector current in this case. So the characteristics, when we say the characteristics of the common base configuration of the transistor, we basically talk about plotting the collector current versus VCB. Okay, how the collector current varies with VCB, because in an ideal situation we do not want the collector current to vary with VCB. We only want the collector current to vary with VBE. Just as I stated earlier that in a transistor the collector current is controlled by the base to emitter voltage. So in the ideal situation we do not want the collector current to be controlled by this voltage VCB. We want the collector current to be only controlled by this voltage VBE, that is the base to emitter voltage. So it is actually important to plot how the collector current is actually varying with VCB. Okay, so let me write it here that ideally we do not want the collector current to vary with VCB. We only want the collector current to vary with VBE. So it's important to see the variation of the collector current IC with VCB. Okay, so let us see how the collector current actually varies with VCB. VCB is actually the reverse bias voltage, or VCB actually makes the base to collector junction reverse biased. So this x-axis here is actually VCB. So this axis is VCB here, and along the y-axis we draw the collector current. So for positive values of VCB, the collector current is basically almost constant with VCB, or with increase in VCB, the collector current doesn't vary much. So let me draw with a different color actually. So the collector current is basically constant with increase in VCB for positive values of VCB. Okay, this is for IE1. IE1 is a given emitter current, so this is actually alpha times IE1. So if we increase the emitter current, then the collector current would also increase. So this is for IE2. So this is alpha times IE2, and then if the emitter current further increases, the collector current again increases, because as I said that the collector current is actually a fixed fraction, or is generally a fixed fraction of the emitter current, and for a good transistor this quantity alpha is actually greater than 0.99. okay, and in this case or in this plot, this IE3 is greater than IE2, which is again greater than IE1 here. Okay, so for positive values of VCB, or as VCB is actually increased from 0, or let us say as the reverse bias voltage increases, the collector current basically remains constant with the reverse bias voltage across the collector to base junction. Now as VCB decreases from 0, that is as the base to collector junction is gradually becoming forward biased, the collector current initially remains constant. Now beyond a certain limit, the collector current actually decreases and it goes to 0. Okay, mainly because when VCB is actually negative, that is the base to collector junction is gradually entering into forward bias state, the electric field at the base to collector junction gradually decreases. So if the electric field at the base to collector junction gradually decreases, in that case the electric field at the base to collector junction would no longer be able to pull the electrons that reach the depletion region by diffusion. So just as we stated when we discussed the transistor action, that in an NPN transistor, electrons are injected from the emitter into the base, and then these electrons diffuse into the base to reach the depletion region of the base to collector junction. Okay, and the electric field at the base to collector junction basically sweeps these electrons and takes these electrons to the collector terminal. Now if VCB becomes negative, or the voltage at the base to collector junction is gradually forward biasing that junction, then the electric field at the base to collector junction basically reduces, and if the electric field reduces, or if the strength of the electric field becomes lower, that electric field would no longer be able to actually absorb the electrons or sweep the electrons that reach to that depletion region by diffusion. Okay, so the collector current gradually reduces because the electric field strength is reducing, and it is no longer able to actually pull the electrons or sweep the electrons into the collector region. So as the electric field gradually reduces, the electric field is no longer able to pull the electrons that reach there by diffusion, or that reach the depletion region by diffusion. So the collector current basically increases, and so the collector current basically decreases, and it actually gradually becomes zero. Okay, so it decreases, and beyond a certain point it gradually becomes zero. Okay, so this is the common base characteristics, basically how the collector current basically varies with the collector to base voltage. So this is the common base characteristics. Okay, and this equation, these two equations are basically valid only in this region. Okay, but the collector current basically does not vary with the collector to base voltage. Okay, so let me actually draw with a different color here. So in the regime where the collector current is basically constant with the base to collector voltage, in that regime only these two equations are basically valid. Okay, so let me draw a straight line here, dotted line, sorry, dashed line. So these two equations are valid to the right of the dashed line. Okay, so basically these two equations are valid in this regime to the right of this dashed line over here. Okay, now this regime where the collector current is basically constant with the collector to base voltage, or the collector current does not vary with the collector to base voltage, this regime is basically known as the forward active mode or the forward active regime. Okay, so the forward active regime, and the regime to the left of this dashed line where the collector current is varying with the collector to base voltage, or the collector current is decreasing with decrease in the collector to base voltage, this regime is known as the saturation regime. Okay, so we may have the active regime. In the active regime, the collector current does not vary with VCB, okay, or the collector to base voltage. And in the active regime, the base to emitter junction So this is basically forward biased. And the collector to base junction is mainly reverse biased. Okay, or it might be slightly forward biased. So as you can see in this curve over here, we can see that there is some regime here also, but the VCB is basically negative, but the collector current is still constant with VCB, and generally this regime is of the order of 0.2 volts to 0.3 volts, this length, that is. Okay, and some books actually refer to the forward active mode as the regime which is only to the right of the IC axis. So in some books the forward active mode actually starts from the IC axis. So some books are of the opinion that the forward active mode should be actually stated as the mode where the regime of operation lies from here. Okay, so there is a difference of opinion actually between various books, but basically in the forward the concept goes like, in the forward active mode the collector current does not vary with the collector to base voltage. Okay, so here the collector to base junction is mainly reverse biased. This is known as the active regime or the forward active regime. Okay, and then we have the saturation regime. Here the collector current varies with the collector to base voltage, and in this case this base emitter junction is forward biased. Note that when I say that the base emitter junction is forward biased, I generally mean that the base to emitter voltage, that is VBE, must be greater than or equal to V gamma. Okay, and here also when I state that it is forward biased, I mainly mean that VBE must be greater than or equal to V gamma. Okay, and the collector to base junction is also forward biased here. And we actually do not want the transistor to basically operate in the saturation regime. Okay, we only want the transistor to work in or to operate in the forward active mode, where the collector current is not a function of the collector to base voltage, but the collector current is basically a function of the base to emitter voltage. Okay, and these are the two regimes, and we then have two more regimes. So one is the cutoff regime. So the cutoff regime, so let me write it here. So here in this regime the base to emitter junction is in cutoff. So basically the base to emitter junction is not in a conducting state. Okay, so here we have the base to emitter junction is not conducting, so VBE is basically less than V gamma. Okay, and it doesn't matter what the collector to base voltage actually is. Okay, actually it's not that it doesn't matter, but let us actually, it's like the base to emitter junction is still reverse biased. Then we may have a fourth regime. So this is regime number 1, which is the forward active regime. This is regime number 2, which is the saturation regime. This is regime number 3, which is basically the cutoff regime. And then we have regime number 4, which is known as the inverse active mode or the reverse active mode. So reverse active regime. Okay, so here the emitter and the collector basically interchange their action. So the base to emitter junction is basically in reverse bias state. Is reverse biased, and the base collector junction is basically forward biased. So basically the collector now functions as the emitter and the emitter basically now functions as the collector. Okay, so these are the 4 regimes of operation. Now let us actually do a small problem to understand these concepts. So we have a 10 volt source here, and there is this 5 kilo ohm resistor. Then we have the transistor here. Then we have another 10 kilo ohm resistor. Then we have 2 volts here. And this point is grounded. Okay, and in this case you are given with the information that alpha is equal to 50 divided by 51. So the value of alpha is basically 50 divided by 51. Then what is the value of IB, IC and VCE? Okay, so now first we need to confirm the mode of operation of this transistor. Okay, so we see that 2 volts is applied here. So the base to emitter junction, which is basically this junction here, should be forward biased because this 2 volts is greater than the cut-in voltage, which is 0.7 volts we would assume, and here we have applied 10 volts. So here also this collector to base junction must be properly reverse biased. Okay, now this basically means that the transistor must be operating in the forward active mode, and we know that in the forward active mode the collector current does not depend on the collector to base voltage, but the collector current basically depends on the emitter current, and the collector current in the forward active mode is basically a fixed fraction of the emitter current. So in the forward active mode we can write this collector current IC is equal to alpha times IE. Okay, note that this equation is only valid in the forward active mode. Okay, this equation is not valid in the saturation regime or in the cutoff regime. Okay, this equation that the collector current is a fixed fraction of the emitter current, this equation is only valid in the forward active mode. Okay, so the base current IB is basically equal to IE minus IC. So this is basically 1 minus alpha IE. Okay, now through this 10k resistor, this base current IB is flowing. Okay, so through this 10 kilo ohm resistor, this base current IB is flowing. Through this 5 kilo ohm resistor, the collector current IC is flowing, and this resistor is actually given to be 1 kilo ohm over here. Through this 1 kilo ohm resistor, the emitter current IE is basically flowing. Okay, and we have seen that the base current is basically 1 minus alpha IE. Okay, so we'll be basically applying Kirchhoff's voltage law in the base to emitter loop, that is in this loop. Okay, so we'll be applying the Kirchhoff's voltage law in this base to emitter loop. So we'll start from this 2 volts, then through this 10 kilo ohm resistor, then through the base to emitter junction where the voltage drop is VBE or V gamma actually. Okay, or you can also say VBE bracket on. Okay, so let me write it in the conventional way. So the voltage across this base to emitter is written as VBE on for a transistor. Okay, and VBE on is basically, this is the base to emitter voltage when the base to emitter PN junction is in a conducting state. So this is equal to V gamma, and V gamma we will assume to be 0.7 volts here. So we will satisfy, or we will write Kirchhoff's voltage law in this loop over here. Okay, so 2 volts is equal to IB into 10 kilo ohm plus VBE on plus IE into 1 kilo ohm. Okay, now IE is basically IB divided by 1 minus alpha. Okay, so IB into 10 kilo ohm plus 0.7 volts plus IB divided by 1 minus alpha into 1 kilo ohm. So 1 minus alpha is basically 1 divided by 51. Okay, so 1 minus alpha is basically 1 divided by 51. So 1 by 1 minus alpha is equal to 51. Okay, so 1.3 volts is equal to 10 IB, where IB is in milliamperes because we have kilo ohm over here, plus 51 IB, which is equal to 61 IB. Okay, so the base current is basically 1.3 volts. IB is equal to 1.3 volts divided by 61, and it basically gives me 0.0213 milliamps over here. Okay, so I would better write 1.3 divided by 61 milliamps. Okay, so we have IB, so we can write IE here. IE is basically IB divided by 1 minus alpha, which is equal to 51 IB. So this basically gives me Okay, let us not actually calculate IE because IE is not asked. We are actually asked about IC actually. So IC is basically alpha times IE, which is equal to alpha divided by 1 minus alpha IB. So uh, so alpha is 50 divided by 51 divided by 1 divided by 51 into IB. So basically 50 IB, which is equal to 50 into 0.0213 milliamperes. So this basically gives you 1.06 milliamperes over here. Okay, now we are asked IC, IB, and we are also asked about VCE. So to find VCE, we basically apply Kirchhoff's voltage law in this loop, starting from the 10 volt source through this 5 kilo ohm resistor, and then through this VCE. So VCE is basically this voltage here, this collector to emitter voltage. So this voltage is basically VCE. So we'll follow Kirchhoff's voltage law in this loop through this 5 kilo ohm resistor, then through this VCE, and then through this 1 kilo ohm resistor. Okay, so we write Kirchhoff's voltage law. So 10 volts. So let me change the color. 10 volts is equal to the voltage drop across the 5 kilo ohm resistor. So 5 kilo ohm into IC plus VCE. So the voltage drop between the collector and the emitter. Okay, plus the voltage drop across this 1 kilo ohm resistor over here. So IE into 1 kilo ohm. So IC we have already calculated it to be 1.06 milliamperes. So 5 into 1.06 milliamperes plus VCE plus IE is basically, we have found it that it is IB divided by 1 minus alpha, which is equal to 51 times IB. So 51 times IB over here, and IB is basically 0.0213 milliamperes. So 51 into 0.0213 milliamperes here. Okay, so we shouldn't write milliamperes actually. So when we multiply kilo ohms with milliamperes, it gives me basically voltage. So this is actually multiplied by 1 kilo ohms actually. So since this is 1, I am not writing it here. So this 1 kilo ohm over here. Okay, so VCE is basically 10 volts minus 301, sorry, not 301, but minus 6.45 volts, which is equal to 3.55 volts. Okay, so this is basically our answer, that we have found out this value of VCE, and we have also found out the value of IC here and IB here. Okay, so this is basically our answer. Okay, let us do up to here today. Thank you everyone.